All right, so Mark, can you tell us who is Kinetic Technologies and what you guys do?
Yeah, Kinetic Technologies is a custom manufacturer in Algona, Iowa, and we make the RT1, but we also do fixtures for automation and tooling.
Excellent. And what should a newly robot owner wanting to do welding, what should they think about around robotic fixturing?
Yeah, I mean, we talk to our customers about automation just like you would with a CNC mill. So one of the most complicated parts of it is how do you hold the part? So a fixture is pretty much can make or break the success of an automation cell. So as your parts become more complex or what you want to do, then you want to add tooling, fixtures, positioners to enhance your welding capabilities. But a lot of that wraps around how do you hold that part and how do you present it to the robot.
Good, excellent. And would you be able to give us some tips in whenever they want to design those robotic welding fixture?
Yeah, so from welding automation, while you're welding, the actual time from the start of the weld to the end of the weld is not faster with a robot. It's really about how do you increase your efficiency and the number of parts you can put through in a day. So one of the things that you want to eliminate is any sort of manual intervention in the weld process, whether you need to touch it up or reteach or points on the welder. So when you're building a fixture, what you want to do is zero in on very, very, very tight tolerances. Not necessarily because your parts have tight tolerance requirements. It's so that you can present the part to the robot the same way every single time. And that's how you really gain the efficiency in your welding operations using automation. The other thing is, how can you do two things at one time? Now that you have a robot that's doing the physical welding, can you load a fixture or tack or prepare the parts while the robot is also doing its welding? So all of those things you need to kind of take into account. One of the big things, like with a positioning system, is getting all of the backlash, as much of the backlash as you possibly can, out of the positioning and the moving of the part, or else the welding is going to be all over the place.
And what are some examples of issues that we can run into when designing a fixture?
Yeah, so part presentation is a big piece. So, you may have parts that your suppliers have or maybe variances in that part that changes the way that those parts are put together. So in a manual weld, it doesn't really matter. If something's 20, 30 thousandths of an inch off, that may not be an issue. To a robot, it is. So that induces extra work. And you may have to go in and reprogram that weld sequence depending on what parts are presented. The other thing is, how do you hold parts? So when you can just tack and manually and dexterity with a manual operation, you can hold things and move them around. You're going to want to look at how can I use positioning systems or clamping systems or clamping mechanisms. Also, how do I progressively weld? So when I have a weldment, how do I take different layers, if you will, to build the part so that the robot can maybe do 2 or 3 different sequences. So your fixture and your tooling needs to accommodate that.
Wow, great information. Thank you so much, Mark.